Good morning. If I can please call the meeting to order. The first order of business is public speaking, and if I turn it please to Doug Sussman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome. We have a number of public speakers. I'll call your names, and if you'll please assemble near the podium in the order in which I call your name, that will facilitate the public speaking session. 2 minutes per speaker, please, and please stick to the topic in the agenda. First speaker, Kendra Hill, followed by Andriva Pinder, Brian Clark, Irene Smith, Marjorie Johnson, Jean Rushinoff, Murray Bowden, Tracy Moore, Dennis Boyd, and then Daniel Small. First speaker, Kendra Hill.
Start. Good morning.
Yes,
Mr. Chairman, 5 years ago, the MTA tried closing down subway station booths and leaving entrances unattended. The public's outcry after the murder of a rider forced the change of plans. We got the SCARS, which is Station Customer Assistant Program, instead, and the conversion of over 200 booths to kiosks. Now, over 100 kiosks are closed. Some entrances are being left open and unstaffed, while in other cases, the entrances have become inaccessible to many riders. One way or the other, riders' safety is being jeopardized, and many are being left stranded. On top of this, plans are underway for another round of booth closings next year. My suggestion is to restore all booths to revenue transactions. This is New York City. You do not leave stations and station entrances unattended. When you leave stations unattended, you are not just saying that station agents are expendable, you are also saying that riders are expendable. Wrong and wrong. The MTA needs the goodwill of its riders. Instead, it offers foolishness. It is time to reverse that foolishness. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Andriva Pinder, followed by Brian Clark.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andriva Pinder. I'm Vice President for Station Department with the TWU Local 100. Mr. Chairman, last month the MTA closed 100 subway kiosks. The last time the authority withdrew personnel from the stations, it was forced to retreat when a rider bled to death on a platform because emergency personnel were unable to access it. Now the authority is trying to sweep away the SCARS program and the kiosks, and if the pegs hold, next year they will be followed by full-service booths. It does not take rocket science to understand that we do not leave station entrances in New York unattended. Then why does the MTA persist in this folly? Not because of the budget, because this notion arises both in good times and bad. Rather, it is a dream that without personnel, Times Square will become another chalet or at least the Federal Triangle. This is a pipe dream. It is not going to happen. Okay. Excuse me. This orientation is a mark of the MTA's detachment from the realities of New York and the concerns of the riders. It is time for the MTA to get its feet back on the ground and to do right by its employees and the riding public we serve. You know, I'm standing here, month after month we come and we beseech you to safeguard your riders. But I think you people are so detached from reality because you don't use the system. Oh, you may jump on the trains every now and then, but not every day. It's not mandatory because you have no other way of traveling. I don't see how you can do this, and no matter what we say is really, I feel like I'm spinning my wheels because every month it's the same thing. We come here, we beseech you. You know, but you guys are just a bunch of duty heads.
Our next speaker is Brian Clark.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Brian Clark, Vice President, MAP STOA for the Transport Workers Union Local 100. A few months ago, the state legislature found funding to get the agency through the current year. How did the MTA respond? It tried its hands at service cuts. This was after promising Albany no cuts if the funding came through. It seems your staff has a unique take on what no service cuts means. They decided to eliminate service on the M6 bus line. Bus operators saw this as a service cut. Riders certainly felt this as a service cut. Elected officials saw this as a service cut. But for your staff, this was not a service cut. More recently, the Department of Buses decided to reduce service on the M15 line, which runs the entire length of 1st and 2nd Avenues. The good news is the 2nd Avenue subway should take up the slack when it's completed in about 10 years. The way transit workers and riders see it, if it walks like a service cut and sounds like a service cut, it's a service cut. And if it's a service cut, we're going to fight it. Thank you.
Thank you. Irene Smith, followed by Marjorie Johnson, and then Jean Rushinoff.
Good morning to the board members and MTA employees. My name is Irene Smith, and I work at First Transit. At First Transit, we see that people who need a ride from paratransit get that ride. Officially, we are not MTA employees, but Tom Charles, the MTA Vice President for Paratransit, works right down the hall from us. And it seems like since that we're not MTA employees, mostly it means that MTA ducks responsibilities for our problems. What kind of problems? Here's one. There are bed bugs in our office. I have been bitten, and others have been bitten as well. What would happen if there were bed bugs in this building? I think it would get turned inside out, but bed bugs at First Transit, nothing gets done. At First Transit, 90% of us are women and 90% of us are Hispanic and black. None of us have been to college, or the majority of us have not been to college, but I am that 10% that have been to college, and I do have a family. And I do not want to bring this home to my family. We work hard and do a good job, but I guess that does not count. The MTA can have us do it both ways. You can't have us doing the MTA's work but deny responsibilities for how we get treated. It's time for the disrespect to stop, and it's time for MTA to see that these problems get fixed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Do you mind if could I just ask one question? Ever do this, but what is the relationship?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman.
Wait, could
Excuse
you
me,
just wait
please.
1 second? I'm sorry, I just have one question, ma'am, about the last speaker. If you could just one moment, if you could. What is the relationship between First Transit and the MTA? Could someone answer that for me?
There must be a paratransit provider.
So is
First Transit is a company that manages paratransit, the call center in Northern Boulevard for us.
okay, so are those employees MTA employees?
No, they're not. They're First Transit employees. We oversee the management of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you restate your name for the record, please, and then proceed?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. My name is Marjorie Johnson, and I'd just like to state that when you went abroad, there was no such thing as MTA bus. There were private companies serving local and express routes in 3 outer boroughs under city franchise. Relationships between the private owners and the city soured. Maintenance and service suffered. Ultimately, the routes and property were given to MTA. This should have meant quick improvement in maintenance and in service and in labor relationship. It hasn't. Instead, our terms and conditions of work were taken hostage. We went years without a contract. This spring, the arbitration panel issued an award for a three-year period that had already ended. In August, a further award was issued that should have brought us up to date. Now the award has been taken hostage. It's like deja vu all over again. The MTA has a budget, and so it can service riders. But this board acts like employees and riders are there to service the budget. Our members go into hock, waiting for delayed wages and benefits. Our riders are still waiting for reliable service. The MTA is missing the bus, and everyone else is paying. Everyone else is paying the price. It's time to get it together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Gene Rushinoff. Is your title Grand High Exalted Mystic Ruler?
MetroCard Wizard. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, MTA board members, and staff. What Halloween would be complete without a trick-or-treating of the MTA by the Strap Hangers campaign, including my folks over there holding up signs and wearing costumes. We have 6 specially doctored candies that we think strike the themes of the day, and you'll find some located in front of your place. We wanted to join in the honeymoon, however brief it might be for the new chairman, by giving out some Hershey's Kisses and Best Wishes. So some of you have that. Most of the challenges that are going to be facing you are very serious ones. One concern for your riders is the possibility of higher and higher fares. We already pay, subway riders alone already pay something around 70% of the cost of operating that system. So we have M&M more and more candies for you. And we share your concern about full funding for the MTA Capital Program. So this used to be a $1,000 bar, but now it's a $9.9 billion bar, which is the numbers you're more used to here. Apropos of the other speakers, we, like many riders, are hoping that there's a resolution with labor and that the rhetoric can go down. So you have, some of you, Reese's labor pieces, which we wish for you. Almost done. One of the big concerns is how transparent and open the MTA is, and I think there's more that can be done. So you have milky MTA bars, and hopefully there'll be transparent bars next year. And finally, what do your riders really want? What they really want is good and plenty service, and I hope you can deliver. Thank you very much.
Gene, can I just make a point of clarification?
Sure.
It's the package that's doctored, not the candy, right?
Correct.
Thank you very much. Could I trade my good and plenty, which I really don't like, for something else? Thank you. Kiss is great. Next speaker is Murray Bowden.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. I was going to say ditto as Rush, but nobody's welcomed you here, and so welcome to a very interesting environment. I've asked that these diagrams be passed out to the board because it concerns bridge and tunnel, and I've been working to try and have them put one uniform dotted line at every exit. I started with the backup emails from the Federal Highway Administration are attached. I started with the thruway about a year ago, and working with the thruway, virtually every exit on a thruway now has dotted lines. Bridge and Tunnel did one on the Henry Hudson Parkway going to Capock Street, and it works fantastically well. Bridge and Tunnel will not meet with me, nor let me meet with anybody to implement this. New York City has on many places dotted line exits. Now, if the chief engineer doesn't see the value in improving traffic control, you have a problem. I don't know how to explain that he is not up to speed on. I sat here in 2 meetings in the last 2 months for the committee meeting. The question is, his answers were not adequate. There are a couple of other people here whose answers are also not adequate, but I don't have time to go into everything, so I choose one item as representative of how the thinking of some of the leaders has to change. That's probably your toughest job. Getting people to understand this is the 21st century, not the 20th century. That if you stop in a bus lane, it's like stopping on a railroad tracks. You're exactly correct. That perception isn't understood by some of the people sitting over here. I don't know how you make it. I time myself at 2 minutes now. That's symbolic of let's get things changed. There is no running over.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Next speaker is Tracy Moore, followed by Dennis Boyd, and then Daniel Small will be the last speaker. Ms. Moore.
Good morning. Thank you. Yes. My name is Tracy Moore. I am a train operator. I've been working with the MTA for 7 years. Dear Mr. Chairman, I think you should be apprised of the achievement of this board over the last few months. Over 40 years, the labor contracts covering all public employees in New York State have been negotiated in the framework of a law that says negotiations that reach impasse go to arbitration. Many contracts have been awarded through arbitration. Many more have been settled at the table with the knowledge that binding arbitration was the alternative. This board has single-handedly swept that away. Now we have a new rule that says arbitration is binding when this board says is binding, and declaring this agency to be beyond the law and beyond any sense of fair play. These ladies and gentlemen have sent a message. It's not just a message to transit workers, it is also a message to public employees throughout New York. The message says public agencies don't have to stick to the rules. If they want a fair contract, you're going to have to be prepared to go another route. In a single action, this board has managed to undermine the entire framework of labor relations and public employees in New York State. Just think what they might do next. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Dennis Boyd.
Good morning. My name is Dennis Boyd, 26 years as a train operator in your system. Mr. Chairman, it sounds like the start of an old joke. Unfortunately, there's a severe recession. Fortunately, the federal government has made stimulus money available for transit. Unfortunately, the law makes it unavailable for funding transit operation. Fortunately, elected officials and transit lobbyists were working to change this. Unfortunately, they were stymied when the biggest transit system in the country weighed in against stimulus money for transit operation. That's right. The MTA has played a role in preventing needed measures. Why? For this agency's capital projects come first. Operations matter mainly because operations yield fair revenues, and fair revenues are the piggy bank the agency taps to cover capital work, both directly and through debit service. We are talking about $500 million that hasn't gone into keeping the buses and subways running, and the number is growing. Here's how people see it. Capital projects are undertaken to support transit operation, not vice versa. No one is saying we need capital work, but we do need to put first things first. It's called acting responsibly. Mr. Chairman, I think you are going to have an interesting time here. Good luck with that.
Thank you. And our last speaker today is Daniel Small.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome, Mr. Chairman. My name is DJ Small. I've been a train operator for 21 years. According to the press, you have spent some time traveling the system and talking with transit workers, transit riders, and employees. Then you will know that transit workers are proud of what we do. Our work is important work, and our jobs are good jobs. It would be nice to say that they are good jobs because we do important work, but the truth is they are good jobs because they are union jobs. Unfortunately, there are forces in New York City who think that good jobs are more than what working people deserve. Look around this room and you can see some. You can start with the mayor's 4 appointees to this board and go on from there. 10 weeks ago, an arbitration panel handed down an award covering 35,000 transit workers, but this board refused to honor that award. Sure, they made the budget their excuse, but you can always find an excuse if you need one. This is not about the budget. This is about the leftover policies of Pataki and Calico, policies of disdain for riders and of contempt for the men and women who served them. Where do leftover policies come from? From a board of Republican leftovers. Good luck, Mr. Chairman. You're going to need it.
Thank you, and that concludes today's public speaking session.
Thank you, Doug. You will appreciate that I've spent some time trying to think of something clever to say at the beginning of this meeting. Having thought about it, I'm afraid I've come up with something that is somewhat traditional, but really the way that I feel, which is how honored I am to be able to chair this board and to work with all of you. It's very special for me to come back to the MTA, very special to come back to my home city, and I do look forward to working closely with everyone here. I also want everyone to know that I value the time and the commitment that you make on this board. The role of the MTA board is vitally important to this organization. And on a personal basis, I want to say that I'll do everything in my power to make sure that we're making good use of your time and putting it to the best use for this organization. I went through, as we all know, a confirmation process that was, I think, robust would be the word that I might use. And there were many messages that were put forth during that process. But I think that the single most consistent message was that people wanted more from the MTA. They wanted a greater assurance that they're getting good value for the taxpayers' money and the riders' money. They wanted greater transparency and credibility from this organization. I think, in short, they were asking all of us to take the MTA to the next level. They appreciated where we've come from, but they're asking us to be able to do more. And I'm sure that everyone here would agree that that's an appropriate goal. We should be challenging ourselves, and we should be moving to be able to do that. I'll tell you a little bit of a funny story. It's a fairly long plane ride from London to New York, and I decided that I would use the plane ride to read all of the board agendas, all of the committee materials, cover to cover. And in the process of doing this, I got to the Rainbow Book. And I looked at the Rainbow Book. It could have been. I realized that this book has not changed in 20 years. It was exactly the same as it was when I was the CFO, and I don't think I changed it from when the prior CFO was there. And I'm sometimes wondering if we're not just reproducing the same pages that we were doing 20 years ago. Certainly the weather report might be in that category. There is a need for us to think about some of what we're doing in regard to the process and the way we're getting information out there publicly. I could sit in London and watch our board meetings, and I did. But I couldn't go on the internet and get our agendas for the meeting. So it's not surprising when we talk about transparency and we talk about things that's there, that people sometimes feel that despite all of the information we're putting out, and indeed there were many trees that were being killed for that pile of paper, that we may not have fulfilled the argument of the point of the transparency, putting out information that is relevant to people in a way that is accessible and easily understandable, and having a process that makes that sustainable, and also that makes it accessible. I'm going to offer one small point on that regard of accessibility. Starting next month, we will have all of our board materials on the web, and they'll be accessible to people. And we will make ourselves open that way. Over time, we can work to make the materials better and better, but let's get them out and let's be accessible to people. I want to just, in closing what I'll say here, just offer, if I can, 3 thank yous. First, to Helena Williams. Helena served for I think a longer period than she had intended as the acting CEO. And I know that all of us know that there are multiple models of being an acting person. Some people just fill a chair for a period of time and wait for the next person to get there. We are very fortunate that Helena took a different role. She was a leader. She was decisive. She moved the organization forward in the time that was there. And she made it a heck of a lot easier for me to come in than it would have been if she had accepted a different way of doing it. And so please do thank me for and join with me in thanking Helena for the tremendous job that she did in doing that. Second, to thank one of our board members who left the board recently, David Mack. I know that David has been was a longstanding and very strong member of this board. I'm sure we'll have a more formal process of thanking him, but I didn't want to let this meeting go without adding my voice to that quickly. And then one more, and I did watch on the web, as I said, and saw that the board recognized Chairman Hemmerdinger last month. But again, I did want to add my voice to that. I came to know Dale only through the process that we had here, and I have to say that there are people who are just an ace and really have been all out and saying open and very forthcoming and helpful. And he has been that type of person, and I'm sure he was that way with everybody on the board. And so I just wanted to add a public thank you to him as well for everything that he's done to be able to assist in doing that. So I look forward to working with everyone. I hope we have great things to accomplish. I believe we genuinely believe we do have great things to accomplish. I know the challenges are there. Jean has articulated some of them eloquently as always. But we will, I think we can rise to meet them, and I think we can rise to take this organization to even a greater place than we are right now. So with that, I move to the agenda, if I may. And if I can ask for a vote of approval of the minutes, both of the September board and the special board meeting.
I move that the minutes be adopted.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. We turn then to the report from the Committee on Finance. Andrew?
Good morning. I'd like to present the following items for the board's approval. There are two action items this month. The first action item requests TBTA board authorization and approval of the necessary documentation and delegation authority to issue a series of obligations and bond anticipation notes, all as more fully described in the board materials. I move this action item.
In favor? Aye. Thank you.
Okay. The second action item requests board approval to file for and accept federal grants for federal fiscal years 2009, 2010, all is more fully described in the board materials, and I move this action item.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Okay. There are three non-competitive procurements in the amount of $755,460. The committee recommends these procurements, and I move them.
Second? In favor?
There are two competitive procurements in the amount of $884,085. The committee recommends these procurements, and I move them.
Andrew, you had mentioned something earlier. Did you mean to?
I'd like to table one of those procurements, the one for Skyline Connections, until next month.
Oh, I thought those were netted out of here. They were out of here already. Is that?
Am I
No.
right?
Do you have a second? Okay.
So now we're voting on the net amount after that.
The net amount would be $118,997.
Okay. There you go. So I move those.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Thank you. I think that concludes the business of the Committee on
There are no ratifications this month, and that does conclude the Finance Committee report.
Report from the Transit Committee. Mark, I understand that you will be handling this one. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir. Welcome back to the MTA, Mr. Chairman. You too, Charles. Our usual chairperson during Fresca is recovering nicely and sends you her greetings, and you will see her back here next month. Before we move to the agenda, Mr. Chairman, we too have somebody on our senior staff at New York City Transit who is leaving. And as we did at the committee meeting, I would like to take a moment to recognize the outstanding career of Connie Crawford. She leaves the New York City Transit Authority and the MTA family next month to go into the private sector. Connie joined New York City Transit in 2001 and has been the Senior Vice President and Chief Engineer for the Transit's Department of Capital Program Management since 2004. Thanks to her strong strategic vision She has enabled us to encourage innovation and promoting internal development. She's really improved the way that transit goes about implementing its capital projects, and her successor will have big shoes to fill. Connie, are you here? You here? Stand up, and let's hear it for Connie. Thank you. Now to more mundane things. There's one action item this month that was approved by the Transit Committee. The action item requests board approval of a New York City transit tariff allowing to allow a three-leg transfer to B61 and B62 customers using value-based MetroCards as more fully described in the board materials. It was noted at the committee meeting that the effective date of the tariff change was incorrectly listed in the committee materials, but the revised copy of the resolution with the correct date has been provided to the board and is in the book now. I move this action item.
Do you have a second? All in favor?
Aye. There are 20 New York City transit procurements totaling $34.4 million. Of that number, there are 4 non-competitive procurements in the amount of $8.0 million. The committee recommends these procurements, and I move them.
Second. In favor?
Aye. There are 5 competitive procurements in the amount of $23.6 million, and the committee recommends all of these procurements, and I move them.
Second. In favor?
Aye. And there are 11 ratifications in the amount of $2.8 million, and the committee recommends these procurements, and I move them.
Second. In favor, please.
Aye. Turning to MTA Bus Company, there are no competitive or ratification procurements this month. There are 2 non-competitive procurements in the amount of $884,000, and the committee recommends these procurements, and I move them.
Second. Second. In favor?
Aye. And this concludes the Transit Committee report.
Thank you very much. And Mitch is here. Oh, there you are. Got you now.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. There are 2 non-competitive procurements in the amount of $2,420,000. The committee recommends these procurements, and I move them.
In favor?
There are no competitive procurements this month, and there is 1 ratification in the amount of $37,177.81, and I move this procurement.
In favor? If I can stop here on this ratification just for 1 second. It's absolutely appropriate that we've moved the ratification. But I would point out to the board that this is an IVR system, a voice recognition system for Long Island Railroad. One of the things that I do hope we are able to do going forward is to look at the advances in technology to see how we might be able to bring together some of our customer information processes so that we can present a single face of the MTA to our customers and hopefully do that in a productive and efficient manner. Clearly, it's not something we're going to do before this takes place.
And that's why this is a 1-year time period, so that we have that opportunity at the end of the time period to determine whether new technology is more appropriate at that time.
Absolutely. So thank you very much.
Okay. Long Island Bus, there are 2 non-competitive procurements in the amount of $134,190. The committee recommends these procurements, and I move them.
In favor?
Aye. And there are no competitive procurements or ratifications this month, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Jim, I can find.
Metro North operated at 98.2% in the month of September. I'd like to present the following items for the board's approval. There are 10 procurements totaling $23,959,727. Of that number, there is 1 non-competitive procurement in the amount of $300,000. The committee recommends this procurement, and I move it.
Second. In favor?
There are 2 competitive procurements in the amount of $22,038,000. One of these, for $21,888,000, is a multi-agency contract that includes Metro North, New York City Transit, Long Island Railroad, Staten Island Transit. And it was reviewed by the committee, and I move them.
Second.
In favor?
There are 7 ratifications in the amount of $1,621,727. The committee reviewed these, and I recommend them.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Thank you. This concludes the Metro North report.
Thank you very much. Mitch, I think we're back to you.
Yep. Bridges and Tunnels Committee met this month and recommends the following. There are no non-competitive procurements or ratifications this month. There are 5 competitive procurements in the amount of $11,543,000. The committee recommends these procurements, and I move them.
Second. In favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And that concludes the Bridges and Tunnels report.
Nancy?
Excuse me, I hate to keep circling back to bed bugs, but I don't know why. Being a girly girl, I can't recover from that picture. And my shout out to First Transit is clean up your offices. We don't need anything fancy, but if you are a representative of the MTA, we'd appreciate if your offices at least were hygienic. Okay, regarding the capital construction meeting, I'd like to present the following for board approval. There were 3 action items this month, and one was authorization to enter into agreement with William Street Associates regarding the Fulton Street Transit Center. The second is to accommodate design changes to accommodate an entrance to the 2nd Avenue subway. And the third action item was board approval for authorization to enter also into design service agreement regarding the 2nd Avenue subway. The committee recommends these 3 actions. I move them.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
There is 1 competitive procurement for the amount of $3 million. The committee recommends that as well, and I move it.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
That's it.
Thank you very much. I think that concludes the public portion of the meeting. At this point, I'd like to... I'm sorry. Real estate? Oh, real estate.
I pardon myself.
Thank you.
Okay. See, we're saving paper. We're doing both sides. Good. There is 1 ratification this month for the amount of $1,396,000. This is still part of the capital construction portion of the meeting. The committee recommends this, and I move it.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Regarding the real estate portion of the meeting, there were a total of 6 real estate items for board approval. The committee recommends these items. I move them.
In favor?
Aye.
That is the conclusion.
Now, to repeat that, I think that concludes our public meeting. At this point, I'd like to make a motion for us to enter into executive session for discussion of a matter of pending or current litigation as provided under the Open Meetings Law.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Removable bags, recording devices, jackets.